Jurassic Park the game is a fucking disaster. I don't think there's a game in this video that got me as heated as this one did, even with the aggravating puzzles of previous titles and the unimaginative, tedious gameplay of later titles. I mean no hyperbole when I say that this game contains one of the most unlikable groups of characters I've ever played, though specifically one character. It may on par be the worst game Telltale have ever made, which is even funnier since the next game is arguably their best. It's also where a lot of the modern Telltale sensibilities are established, namely the quick-time heavy gameplay and story-driven focus. It's uniquely one of the only games that didn't release episodes monthly, alongside CSI. The game has 4 episodes and they're all on the disc, so to speak, ready to go. I guess that hand waves the notion that Telltale's problem was how they released the episodes. Personally, I think it's because they made like 3 games at once every year, but we'll get to that. We've probably already gone to it, let's be honest. I don't know why the episodes are like this, but the game will seamlessly transition from one episode to the next, like a real game, whatever that's good for. Much like the CSI games I didn't play, this kind of feels like a contractual obligation. There really is no passion or considerable effort put in here. It's really bottom of the barrel stuff, even for a Jurassic Park sequel. They don't have a great reputation, but I remember enjoying The Lost World. I think I hated Jurassic Park 3, and the Jurassic World movies have some great scenes. I also think a lot of these episodic games could be enjoyed more with a group of friends. This one especially I can imagine being a fucking hilarious experience, and given that you swap between characters, everyone could play a certain person, like this incredibly wholesome and envious review I found for the game Until Dawn. If you have friends, I suppose.
Well, that's a topic for another day. just imagine.
Let's just get on with it, in a manner that I don't want to repeat with the other games going forward. Due to this game being unfathomably bad, I'm probably just going to run through everything instead of boiling it down to the things I really care about. I think this game deserves the full treatment. Episode 1, though I suppose the whole game, seems to take place during the first movie. We begin in a heavy QuickTime event action sequence, already likening it far more to modern Telltale. Similarly, our unnamed protagonist evades some dinosaurs of some sort, I am sure. She also has the shaving cream can from the first film, with all the dinosaur embryos. She falls off a cliff and is almost hit by a car, which reveals that this isn't the start of our adventure. We flash back earlier in the day to a young girl and her father who worked at the Jurassic Park. We then flash forward to later that night, meeting up once again with the unnamed woman and some guy at a boat awaiting Nedry's arrival with, presumably, the shaving cream can. Immediately, the way the game is played is quite overcomplicated. Instead of just walking around, you have to select this icon in the bottom left and choose an angle of the environment, then appearing in it. You also move the screen with the keys now instead of holding the mouse, which actually is more natural in a way. I then foolishly opened the Steam in-game overlay, which made my mouse disappear. It wouldn't come back. I had to click off the game to see it and then move my mouse over the game to click on the thing I wanted to prompt moments later, then having to restart the game. This doesn't work though. The game still wasn't showing my mouse and I couldn't even change if I wanted gamepad or mouse controls. You also can't exit the main menu, you have to quit the whole game, which meant I'd have to replay this QuickTime event again after already doing it a second time, which also proved challenging in a weird way. The QuickTime prompts last for just that little bit too long, so I was constantly pressing early. It was too easy and that made it hard, in a way. Anyway, our still unnamed protagonist and this other guy are on a covert field operation and they happen upon Nedry's car and body. Our still unnamed protagonist also doesn't know that she is on a dinosaur-infested island, which is kinda cool. It's a nice contrast to how the film's characters were introduced to them in wonderment and disbelief, while we get jumped by one and find Nedry's rotting body. Rotting body. We search for and find the canister, and our unwanted partner in crime, Miles Chadwick, proves traitorous and turns heel, trying to get us killed. He is then the one who is killed, so I don't feel that bad. I know this is very obviously something someone would do, but something about the whole "it's dinner time" just makes the guy like comically evil. I know I wouldn't try and deceive the only person with me while surrounded by these things, but I guess I'm not him.
Depends on perspective, eh?
I guess it does.
What a lovely question. That should be the big question.
Yeah, how ill are you?
How sick.
Anyway, predictably, this prompts the in media res intro, and we run into, of course, the daughter and father combination of Jess and Jerry, yeah, no, I said that the right way. Jerry being a vet. They save woman and attempt to take her to the visitor center before running into a triceratops out of its enclosure. Jess honks the horn to drive the triso back and then doesn't stop once it's in the enclosure, so this brings about the alpha, which fucks our shit up royally. To be fair, the horn continues to honk without Jess's input, but maybe it wouldn't have if she had stopped it earlier. We escape into the maintenance tunnel, someone from the computer room sends a car, and we're away. We arrive and enter the visitor center. As we do, a helicopter flies over. Is that them lot leaving the island? Is the first movie already over? Yep, confirmed by the lady who sent the car, they've seemingly been left behind. I kind of like this angle. You'd never think about it in the movie, but I guess there probably were people on the island who didn't escape. So it continues to be a smaller or side story. We're not going to run into Jeff Goldblum, unfortunately. Anyway, our still unnamed protagonist, if she's even that at this point, was infected by one of the dinosaurs, and so we must trank her to save her life. Jerry informs us that a helicopter is on the way to rescue us, so this woman decides that now is a good time to pull a gun on them when they don't fall for her plumbing lie, which you choose earlier. To be honest, it just seems like she's really socially awkward and would rather hold them at gunpoint than entertain them. It comes off really funny. And that's your lot. Honestly, I kind of enjoyed this episode in a trashy way. Totally average, nothing great, but some fun to be had. I really didn't see this getting any better though, and it's quite obvious we're not getting off the island. But yeah, it could have been a lot worse. At least help is on the way.
Help's on the way.
Before I began episode 2, I had a bit of an adventure of my own. I just finished the film Men and went to get some water, only for the taps to not produce any aqua. I truly had no H2Os, which saying after watching the film Men sounds great. Especially because I didn't hate it like everyone else. Oh, I hate women though. If the film was called Women, oh, I'd hate that. What? Okay.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
So-
You love women.
But then, being the genius I am, I went to see if there were any water bottles about, since there'd have to be some, and by Jove, there were 3 in the cupboard. Crisis averted. I did have the remainder of a fruit juice in the fridge, but it was used by September 19, and it was currently 2:04 AM on the 21st, so that just wouldn't fly. Anyway, episode 2 kind of isn't good. Immediately, we're introduced to new characters. We play as Billy Yoder, like Yoda, who is a part of the rescue team coming to save the other heroes. I didn't understand why we had to change perspective other than to ensure we'd actually have a full game, but I guess we're stuck with these dickheads for now. As mentioned, they're the rescue team. Or are they? Or are they? Since when they arrive at the visitor center, there is already a whole other rescue team there, dead. Our other characters are also missing. There's a really weirdly confusing scene here where the big buff guy Oscar runs into one of the other rescue team guys and tells him to stand down, as he accidentally shot his men because he couldn't see them and was trying to shoot the dinosaurs. At least I think so. There's a really limp dick action scene where Oscar is asking Yoda to use security cameras to find the guy, Vargas, who I guess has gone crazy. He asks us where Vargas is, despite the fact that we can clearly see him and he doesn't disappear or anything. You can see him hide and just stay there. I think the justification here is that Oscar can't see anything because it's dark, but I could see fine. Jerry and Barry are still being held hostage by the woman. My best guess at this point is that she sees an employee as her ticket out, but she's kind of just complicating things for herself. She then allows Jerry to make a fire, despite the fact a helicopter was being sent to find them, and she is seemingly not interested in getting involved with them. That's clever. Then again, she doesn't seem to have a name. Oh wait, we're 30 minutes into the second episode, and we find out it's Nima through a dialogue option. No, not that kind of dialogue. The literal option to make a dialogue. It says her name in parentheses. Spectacular. Barry showcases her singular character trait of being a thief by stealing the radio from Nima Outpost to make contact with the rescue team lot. Don't know if they really need to though. They see that Nima Outpost has them at gunpoint and then walk them out, so surely they would just follow that trail of smoke now that they're back in the air. Then again, why would anyone be stupid enough to have people as hostages and allow them to make a fire? So maybe they'd see the smoke and presume that it couldn't be them because, well, why would it be? But it is them, as we know. Anyway, the helicopter gets fucking dropkicked by a pteranodon. Okay, maybe the escape isn't so bad. Their pilot, lovingly nicknamed Decaf, is knocked loopy, so Yoda takes over, and it's a pretty damn good landing, all things considered. Decaf also has the same character model as Miles Chadwick. Was that his name? Jerry, Barry, and Nima Outpost head north and come to a not fully operational roller coaster ride. Outpost laments the loss of an ancient goat path that has seemingly been destroyed for the ride, and honestly, it's a pretty cool action sequence. One of the better ones, I suppose. Sorry about your goat. Yoda and Oscar then appear, and Outpost is detained. Nima Outpost seems to recognize Oscar, I guess because they're both vaguely Hispanic. I don't remember if this is ever properly explained. There's then a really tenseless and horribly awkward scene in the helicopter, with Outpost implying that Oscar killed Decaf after he disappeared because they are killers, and then they try to make a joke about it, and it's just really weird and forced and lame. The writing in general isn't amazing, if you didn't notice, but that scene is specifically a shoddy moment. It's like as soon as they arrest Nima Outpost, Yoda especially becomes this weirdly cocky bravado guy, and it's really cringe. Anyway, we then land to help Dr. Sorkin at a remote point of the island. She's the lady what helped us with the car. our heroes are determined to GTFO, so they decide to either knock her out and take her off the island against her will, or mislead her into leaving when she doesn't want to, by making up some nonsense about a board meeting to turn the park into a sanctuary for the dinos. What great, fun protagonists! Jurassic Park had good, likable characters, and these people are just scumbags. I like a morally grey hero, but already they just flip-flop too much. You can't really get a sense of what their deal is. There also isn't one identifiable protag. In a bit, we'll even start controlling Aaron Sorkin's dialogue options. Ooh, that'll be very witty and snappy, won't it? You don't so much play as one protagonist as you just embody every person in every situation. You play as whoever the game needs you to play as. This doesn't help with knowing who to root for. It's heavily implied that Nema Outpost was a resident of the island at some point, and she clearly has a daughter, yet we're playing as Yoda in the previous scene, making fun of her complaints of us murdering. Anyway, for some reason Jerry is just totally fine with his underage daughter going off with two mysterious and clearly murderous men to help move boxes, where he can't even see her. No, you cannot get that tattoo, but you can go off with these strange men. Okay, the next part is a little confusing. Dr. Sorkin wants to remain on the island to monitor the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs have a genetic disorder which was added by Henry Wu to make them dependent on the amino acid. If they don't get it within a week, that kills them, so Dr. Sorkin is trying to reverse engineer that so they can be independent. Jerry is not a fan of this plan, but goes along with it to see if it will even work. Not much happens here, but Aaron repeats the exact same line about the amino acid thing. This isn't a criticism, I am very stupid and appreciated this repeat. Anyway, Outpost manages to escape her handcuffs and steals the chopper. They fight, but she lands a knife in the controls, and I guess it's fucked now. A pack of raptors attack Jerry and them lot, trapping them on top of the water tower before the helicopter once again crashes. Hopefully they're dead. That episode was pretty boring. I really don't care much for this rescue team angle. At least the Bone games had some decent character moments. I'd say the character stuff here is the weak point, and that's usually Telltale's area of expertise. Surely it can't get any worse. Episode 3 is fucking abysmal. It gets worse. Any hope of this game being halfway decent already went out the chopper in episode 2, but now they've buried it. Did that make sense? Before we start with the episode though, I want to make mention of a thought I had, that I then some weeks later realized was very stupid. I've probably alluded to it here, so I'll just say it. I had a thought around the time of playing this episode on the 22nd of September, which is actually not relevant to this game at all. I was thinking how people always complain that the issue with modern Telltale was that the games were too short. Previously, you'd have upwards of 3 hours per episode, as we've seen, and will continue to see for really only 1 or 2 episodes of The Walking Dead Season 1 and all episodes of The Walking Dead Season 4. But the later games are largely half this length, sometimes rarely even hitting the 2-hour mark. My thought was that if you were to hypothetically remove the puzzle-solving parts of older games, the story sections would probably end up being the same length or even less. Immediately, you'll realize this is ass-backwards thinking because I'm basically saying, well, if you disregard the fundamental design differences, they're basically the same thing, which was very stupid. Like, yeah, you could get through those older games in about the same time if you didn't have to actively engage with the game in the way it was built. I don't know what my mind was on with that one, but I thought it'd be worth mentioning that I had the thought at all. I'll start this episode with some praise, not that it actually has anything to do with the contents of the episode. By this episode, I'd grown accustomed to the whole UI layout, and not being able to move around properly. In a game that demands so little input, it actually isn't a massive detriment, but I am glad the later games don't have this. Long story short, Jerry, Aaron, and Barry all escape the water tower raptors and run into a tunnel system. There's really not much to say about their opening. Unfortunately, Yoda, Oscar, and Nema Outpost are all alive, apparently somehow jumping out of the fucking crashed in midair into a tree helicopter. Come the fuck on, man, I wanted them to die. Yoda also snoops through Outpost's belongings and finds the shaving cream can. Yoda is an expert with this specific brand and realizes that it sounds half empty, but feels full and heavier than he recalls. Then there's some random detail about his stepbrother. Stepbro. Then there's some random detail about his stepbrother hiding keys in a fake pop can. Well, what's just happened there? So he opens the thing and finds the dinosaur embryos. There's nothing really wrong with any of this, I just find it so bizarre that he took such interest in a can of shaving cream. The game almost over-explains why he is suspicious of it, to the point where it's just kind of funny. I guess he used the Force. Anyway, the others are now wandering around the tunnel system. It seems that Aaron inserted the lysine thingamabob into the main water supply, so as to now be distributed to all of the dinosaurs, negating the contingency plan or Whatever. I suppose this introduces an interesting moral debate, one that Aaron and Jerry find themselves in as you play both characters going back and forth on opposing sides. If we brought the dinosaurs back into existence, are we responsible for their well-being and survival? Should we just kill them? Should they have never been brought back? Probably that one. And what if they make it to the mainland? I think the Jurassic World movies talk about this somewhat, but Jurassic Park sequels aren't exactly good, and this game is continuing that trend. But as mentioned, at least those movies had some great scenes and moments. There's barely anything worthwhile here though. Also, Barry steals Aaron's cigarettes in a very intense reveal, continuing that singular trait. Nema Outpost and Yoda eventually end up inside of the same tunnel system as everyone else, also Oscar who went on ahead in search for the others. They come to a power box, and there is a neat transition where Yoda opens it only for a raptor to appear, but it's actually a raptor after Oscar. Then, as Yoda, you push to open, which unsurprisingly turns off the power. I mean that, by the way. For some reason, it's saying push to open implied to me somehow that the lights would turn off. Then I started losing brain cells, apparently, as Jessie, Wade have been calling her Barry, goes for a smoke and unsurprisingly is attacked by a raptor, revealing itself in the flame. Then a bunch of them appear before Oscar appears and scares them away, and inexplicably, this reunion is treated like a big deal even though you barely know these people, and this woman literally had you at gunpoint and also destroyed the helicopter we were going to escape on. Then again, maybe they don't actually know that yet, but still, they never ask why the helicopter was even airborne. Were you lot just gonna ditch us? It's a weird moment, like why is she getting so gassed? And then Outpost completely ruins the already strange vibe by calling out Oscar for acting like a hero. Bro, he just scared them away, let him bask and cook.
Cooked and washed, groomed.
Stop it. Stop. No. It's not a dog.
I'm so sick of all these characters, they just reek, man.
Because I'm so sick of love songs.
Yeah.
Anyway, the geothermal power plant is going to explode because of some flickering lights, and we're cut off due to some well-placed steam exits. Also, yeah, the whole episode is just wandering around a tunnel system, which somehow becomes something of a staple in Telltale's games going forward. So we get into the geothermal plant, and they leave the fucking doors wide open. I just can't anymore. There were literally raptors here minutes ago. Close the fucking doors!
Shut the front door.
Everyone works together to vent the steam, which causes this big gate to close as a failsafe. The raptors then immediately reappear, of course, and this all makes Muscle Man Oscar's big sacrifice moments later just so fucking avoidable as he tries to get to this control panel after the aforementioned failsafe blocks their way out, and the control panel up top decides to break. Though personally, I was just very distracted by him very unsubtly checking out Nema Outpost before he jumps down. So I fucked up the first prompt. The character consistency here, man. If they'd just closed the fucking doors in the first fucking place, they wouldn't have had to sacrifice one of them. We escape the raptors and lock ourselves in some room. It doesn't matter. Yoda is then straight tweaking, as I've written, and has a very forced reaction to us consoling him about Oscar, going on a stupid rant about them being perceived as throwaway grunts who, despite that, still saved our lives. Yeah, who left the door open though? Who was the last person to enter the room? Oh, it was you two fuckers. Well, how about that? Go fuck yourself, Yoda. Saving our lives. You put our lives in jeopardy. You can't save our lives and then you can't say, oh, we saved your life. You put us in jeopardy in the first place. You can't act like, oh, we're the heroes. If you put us there, it's like it's like drowning someone and then resuscitating them. Be like, oh, I saved your life. You didn't need to though, did you? Prick. What prick? There is an interesting development here as the helicopter pilot Decaf is alive but comatose, being kept alive by a dinosaur having laid eggs in his abdomen. I guess they've seen Alien, who hasn't? I'm not sure how no one noticed the glorified human flower upon entry, but that's okay. Yoda was tweaking after all. The episode wasn't okay though, it was fucking shit. Worse than Bone Levels, I'd say. It's so drawn out, there is so little story to actually tell here, even with the removal of a usual episode 5. Episode 2 had like one decent moment with the roller coaster, but this was just a far cry from any of that. It's the absolute worst tendencies of Telltale. These characters are already insufferable and they endlessly bicker with each other. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this is absolutely the lowest point of any Telltale game for me. I could not stand this episode. Give me another 4 hours on Monkey Island, at least those characters were fun. Episode 4 begins with Yoda holding a knife to Aaron's throat, threatening her as he believes this is her doing. And I guess it is. And I guess I don't care. He's also doing that really annoying thing where you claim someone is lying because they didn't tell you a very specific thing that you didn't even ask about. Like, it really didn't come up at any point, and what's one more dinosaur on an island of them? You're kind of exaggerating here. But I guess he's so stricken with grief. Also, in case I just didn't mention it before, he's insinuating that Aaron caused this because she kept a certain breed of dinosaur for research when they were meant to be euthanized. But I guess they got out, and that's why that Vargas guy was loco before. I'm also pretty sure that these were the raptors initially chasing Nema Outpost, but I may be wrong, I usually am. Anyway, they attack once more, and we escape once more, still underground and trying to make our way to the marine exhibit. The game finally decides to start including puzzles, which was questionable to me. Like, at this point, why bother? Either way, it's an intersection type deal, and I guess we're trying to find the right one, but I kind of wasn't paying attention, and so now I don't know what I'm looking for. But I am standing at your intersection, and clearly I seem to be misinterpreting directions from the game. There are 4 individual layouts of the same area, and I was unsure if I was meant to order them or figure out where I was. It's the latter. You match the surroundings with one of the locations on the blueprint to head that way. But I got it wrong the first time and encountered one of the funniest death scenes I've ever seen. Man, I hate these fuckers. I'm glad I witnessed that. Yoda uses a flare to reveal the Trudon pectinodons, I think. And even though their eyes shine for some reason, they didn't this time. I guess they had their eyes closed, but unfortunately that doesn't make the pain disappear. The group is separated. Jerry and Outpost are who we stay with first, and this is an okay scene, depending on your tolerance for optional character development, since you can seemingly just say, no time for that, and carry on. I might be remembering the film wrong, but I think it's implied that Nema's father was at the beginning of the film in a suit. That's a scene that happens, right? I believe Jerry is also in the film at the beginning, but who cares? After a short scene with the other 3 hinting at some other dinosaur, we're reunited at the marine exhibit within like 10 minutes. Yoda informing us that we gotta get off the island because they're going to bomb the thing. It's funny how he withheld that information, like how Aaron withheld information. Outpost especially is not happy about this because the island is her ancestral home. Yoda cares not. Speaking of Aaron, she decides to teleport into an elevator and ditch us, presumably to save the dinos somehow. We're once again met with a puzzle, and again, why now? It's some nonsense with the periods of time and that, and while my word on puzzles is flimsy, it seemed like some random bullshit once more. It wasn't oldest to most recent, it wasn't number based, but somehow had to do with the days in the week. I still don't understand, but okay. There's a whiteboard on a wall with pictures of the different eras that you can inspect, but I just found this more confusing because Jerry will not shut the fuck up, and also the camera doesn't let you actually see it. It just pans up, and then that's it. You can't even take any of it in. It's also just a completely pointless puzzle because there's only 3 options, so in theory you could just trial and error it, then go and fuck with the elevator until it works. We descend into a cool underwater facility where Aaron has taken hostage us 4, saying that she won't let us go until the bombing is rescinded and the animals are and the animals and island is preserved. You already know what I'm gonna say, just fucking bomb the island and kill us all, please.
Now this might strike some viewers as harsh, but I believe everyone involved in this story should die.
Anyway, Aaron releases a mosasaur into the wild, basically a big fucking massive alligator, which immediately kills her as she is fucking yeeted into the water after falling in from the mosasaur bashing the glass. Good one, dickhead. Yeah. Yoda calls to authorize the bombing, and then, oh big twist, he's a proper baddie now, and for some reason wants to leave Jerry and Barry behind. If this means we can kill him, I'm okay with it. At least he's being the villain now, instead of some dickhead no one liked. That was aggressive. I hate him. Barry seems to take the shaving cream can from him in a scuffle, but I don't know, man, you tell me where she grabbed it. Anyway, I start ranting about Yoda at some point, so I guess I'll just put that here. Oh, just let me kill Yoda so Nema Outpost can take the embryos and get her money. He has not stopped being such an aggressively braggadocious asshole. I fucking hate the cunt so much. He just joked about killing Barry if she tells anyone about the canister, when the fucking moron is playing with it in clear sight. Honestly, Outpost, just do him in and save yourself the headache. You clearly, I almost said heartache, but are you in love with the guy? I'm not. You clearly can't trust this guy, and no one even likes him at this point. He is such a fucking generic, boring, dull, wet wipe, limp dick, fucking idiot of a character. I absolutely loathe this man. But I will say, now that he's had an official heel turn of sorts, he's actually a good villain because he is just genuinely, utterly detestable. And I know his whole arc was supposed to be about a normal, decent guy corrupted by greed and turning to the dark side, but it is just so fucking lame. He is never a likable presence. There's a scene earlier in episode 2 where he stops Oscar from killing a dinosaur. Now he wants to bomb them all. Wow. Okay, let's resume. Actually, I gotta take a shit. The 3 remaining heroes suit up in some of the worst diving suits I've ever seen. Jerry especially gets shafted in the drift department. Outpost looks fine, Barry is there, but Jerry, my guy, good lord. Anyway, we're swimming out of here, naturally. This sequence is really boring and tenseless, so anyway, we're back on the surface. Now, I'm not kidding when I tell you that this is the most motivated I have been throughout a good portion of this video. There is a quick time fight with Yoda, and oh my goodness, I fucking nailed every single one of those prompts. I needed Yoda dead. It became my entire reason for playing. I was going radio rental, I was.
Kill! Kill! Oh my god! Oh my god! Kill! 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 Yes! Kill! Kill! Yes, we've been waiting for this, Adam. Yes! Oh my god. It's happening, Adam. Don't hurt me. Kill! Look at her eyes. She's ready. She's Zanuso. Zanuso. Kill! I'm scared of you. Shame the man in the corner. Boom, 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 boom. Best wrestler on. Don't hit me. Oh, this is... I'm afraid. This is too much.
I can also continue praising the game as for the first time the iconic T-Rex appears, and I'm not even gonna lie to you, this shot is fucking genius. Everyone freezes, but Yoda is mid-punch on Nima, so he's just stuck in this hilarious pose, and it's genuinely incredible. This might be my favourite moment of the whole game. It's incredibly funny and actually tense. Unfortunately, Yoda takes the bait and is subsequently eaten, so we didn't even get to kill him.
What are you... Oh.
That's a dinosaur.
Gosh darn it. Gosh darn it.
I'm legitimately sad.
The trio then finally make a daring blast escape, and there is maybe the first actual choice in the whole game, as you can either save Barry or the canister, but I didn't realize it was even a choice at all, so I just pressed left first, not knowing I wouldn't be able to press right afterwards. This actually leads to a different bad ending where Nima instead grabs the canister and leers at it with sexual desire before the T-Rex eats her for being a bad person, I guess.
Virgin. That's a callback. Yes, that is a good callback.
Oh well, it's an alternate ending, I suppose. The praise actually continues again though, because, okay damn, Jerry distracts the T-Rex and starts climbing on these containers. The way it's all shot is actually pretty cool. It's a good action sequence, you know? The T-Rex then gets her head stuck in the locking cage from the movie, I think, as Jerry is lifted into the air inside of it. That's genuinely neat. Jerry makes a run for it, and we finally escape this godforsaken island. And hey, there's money on the belt, so we're fine no matter what. The last act or so was actually quite enjoyable, but my god, this game is poor, I must say. It's really no wonder that this seems to be like one of the least known Telltale games. I've never heard anyone talk about it, and for a game released in 2011, it's the most mid-2000s game ever, in the bad way. It certainly wasn't a frustrating play in the way earlier games were, but in every other way that counts, it's easily the worst game thus far, and probably overall. Remember when I had that shortage of removal of water? Yeah, that was arguably the most harrowing and intense hour and a bit that I spent with this game. For a game that stylistically marks the transitional point into modern Telltale, this was a fucking poor debut, but also the end of an era. And yet somehow, it gets so much fucking better immediately. Like, fucking hell. Anyway, this game was fairly limp dick. That's what I kept coming back to. Infer the limp dick.
Fight back with a dick in the ass.
Predictions. Pre-dick. Predictions. Is it predictions? That whole conversation. Predictions. I'm not really sure what that means yet.